The air at the Crestwood Manor wedding venue smelled of imported roses, expensive perfume, and sheer, unadulterated pretense. My older brother, Landon, was marrying Jessica Carlton, whose family name was synonymous with old money banking. This wasn't a wedding, it was a merger. And my family, the Harpers, nouveau riche from my father's tech startup exit, were desperate to prove they belonged. I, Ilara, stood at the periphery, feeling like a ghost in a champagne flute. At 24, I was the sensitive one, the artist, the disappointment. My worth was measured in my silence and my distance from the canapes, lest I say something unpolished. Then I saw him. My grandfather, Arthur, my mom's father. He'd flown 6 hours from his home in Montana. He wasn't what my parents expected of wealth. He wore a simple, impeccably tailored but decidedly non-designer suit. His shoes were clean but comfortable, and his face was a roadmap of sun and laughter, not Botox and disdain. He carried no entourage, just a small, wrapped gift and eyes that crinkled with genuine joy when he saw me. My mother, Celeste, intercepted him at the edge of the reception lawn. Her smile was a wax museum replica. "Dad, you made it." The words were ice. "Wouldn't miss it for the world, Ellie," he said, using her childhood name, a name she'd legally erased. She flinched. "It's Celeste. Here, let's get you seated." She didn't take his arm. She led him not to the family table at the front, draped in silk and laden with crystal, but to the very back of the lawn, to a small, round table tucked behind a towering arrangement of lilies and hydrangeas, a table that was, unmistakably, situated directly beside the venue's large, faux wrought iron trash and recycling receptacles. My breath caught. "Mom, no. He should be with us." She shot me a look that could freeze helium. "The seating chart is tight, Ilara. The Carlton family has a lot of relatives. We need to be respectful. He'll be fine. He likes quiet." Grandpa Arthur just smiled, patting my hand. "It's quite all right, Lara Bear. I have a fine view of the mountains." He did, over the top of the trash cans. I simmered, but said nothing. The wedding march began. The ceremony was a blur of performative vows. During the cocktail hour, I slipped away from the crowd of Jessica's Sloaney friends discussing hedge funds and found my mother near the champagne fountain. "Mom, this is wrong. Grandpa flew all this way. He's sitting by the garbage." She sipped her Dom Perignon, her eyes scanning the crowd for someone more important. "He's fine. He doesn't know the difference. And for God's sake, keep your voice down. Jessica's great-aunt is a Vandergroot." "He knows the difference. He's not an idiot." She turned on me then, her mask slipping. "He's an old man who lives in a cabin and wears flannel. He looks like a groundskeeper. The Carltons cannot think he's with us. He'll embarrass Landon. He'll embarrass me." The venom in her whisper was staggering. "So we hide him? We treat him like a shameful secret?" "We manage perceptions, Ilara, something your little paintings will never teach you." She leaned in, her breath sweet with champagne and spite. "That old beggar will not ruin this day for me. Now go smile and be quiet." Something in me snapped. The years of being told to be smaller, quieter, less, coalesced into a single point of rebellion. "He's not a beggar. He's 10 times the person you'll ever be, and everyone here who matters can see exactly what you are." The slap cracked across the lawn, sharp as a breaking stem. My head whipped to the side. The few people nearby fell silent, pretending not to stare. My mother's face was white with rage. "Get out," she hissed. "You ungrateful little wretch. Get out of here right now. Go cry over your trees and your dirt-poor grandfather. You don't belong here either." Tears of pain and fury blurred my vision. I looked past her, to the family table. My father was studiously examining his watch. Landon was laughing with a Carlton uncle. No one was coming to my defense. I turned and walked, not toward the exit, but toward the back table. Grandpa Arthur was sitting calmly, watching the scene unfold with sad, knowing eyes. I knelt beside him, my cheek burning. "Come on, Grandpa, we're leaving." He didn't ask questions. He just stood, took my arm, and began to walk with me toward the parking lot. Murmurs followed us. We were almost to the valet stand when my mother's voice, now loudly performing for an audience, rang out. "Yes, leave. Take your rustic simplicity and your dramatics with you. This is a celebration of class." That's when the new sound began. At first, it was a deep, throbbing hum that vibrated in the chest. Then it grew into a roar, drowning out the string quartet. Every guest looked up, champagne flutes paused halfway to lips. Coming in low over the surrounding hills was not a helicopter, but a massive, gleaming white Boeing business jet, its sleek lines screaming of unimaginable wealth. It banked in a slow, dramatic turn, its shadow passing over the horrified faces of the wedding party. It was heading for the small, private airfield adjacent to the Crestwood Manor grounds, an airfield used maybe once a year for the most extravagant of events. The jet descended and disappeared behind a tree line. A minute later, the roar of its engines cut to a whisper. The wedding was utterly silent, the spectacle of the private jet arrival completely upstaging the bride and groom. Then, from the path that led from the private airfield to the manor's grounds, a procession appeared. First came two severe-looking men in dark suits, security detail with earpieces. Then a woman in a sharp skirt suit carrying a tablet. And in the center, being pushed in a wheelchair by a uniformed attendant, was a frail-looking elderly woman swathed in cashmere blanket despite the summer heat. Jessica Carleton let out a choked sound. Nana? It was Eleanor Vandergroot, Jessica's legendary, impossibly wealthy, and notoriously reclusive great-aunt, the one my mother had been desperate to impress. She rarely left her penthouse, let alone attended weddings. The procession moved with purpose, straight through the stunned, parted crowd, straight toward my mother, who had gone from triumphant to ashen. Eleanor Vandergroot lifted a bony hand, and the procession stopped. She looked at my mother, then her gaze swept past her, landing on my grandfather and me standing by the valet stand. Her thin voice, amplified by the sudden silence, carried across the lawn. "Arthur! Arthur Finch! My God, is that you?" My grandfather's gentle smile returned. He walked toward her, leaving me behind. "Eleanor, you're looking well." The entire Carleton and Harper families watched, jaws slack, as the two elderly people clasped hands like old friends, which it turned out they were. When my pilot told me he was filing a flight plan to follow Finch 1 into this little airfield, I had to see what could possibly drag you out of the mountains. I see now. Family drama. Her gaze swept the trash can table, then to my reddened cheek. Her expression hardened. "Arthur, dear, are they treating you poorly at this event?" My grandfather sighed, a sign of profound disappointment. "It seems my daughter has forgotten her roots, Eleanor, and she's teaching her children to do the same. She seated me with the refuse and just struck my granddaughter for defending me." A collective gasp swept through the crowd. Eleanor Vandergroot turned her gimlet eyes on my mother. "You struck a Finch." Her voice was quiet, but it carried the weight of centuries of social power. "And you hid Arthur Finch by the trash. Celeste, was it? My dear, you are not climbing the social ladder. You are burning it, and you are standing on the wrong side of the flames." She looked at Jessica, the bride. "This marriage has my blessing, but my association with your new in-laws ends now, permanently." Then she looked at my grandfather. "Arthur, my jet is being refueled. Montana or Zurich? I have a board meeting Tuesday, but I can reschedule." My mother stood, a statue of melting wax. My father finally rushed over, sputtering. "Mrs. Vandergroot, there's been a terrible misunderstanding. We didn't know." "You didn't know who Arthur Finch was?" Eleanor interrupted. "The Arthur Finch? Finch Minerals? The Titan of the Tetons? The man who owns the mountain range he lives on?" She gave a dry, crackling laugh. "You thought he was a beggar.
Oh, this is too delicious. Your ignorance is as vast as his bank account. The ground fell out from under my world. Finch Minerals, the quiet, environmentally conscious mining and land management conglomerate. I'd grown up visiting a cabin that was a 10,000-acre ranch. I'd known we were comfortable, but Grandpa had always just been just Grandpa. The scale of it, the billionaire part, he'd hidden from us, from me, to see who we really were. He'd seen, and now so had everyone else. Grandpa Arthur walked back to me. He took my arm, then addressed the silent, shattered wedding. The wedding proceeds, but my part in this family is finished. My wealth, my legacy, my name, it all passes to my granddaughter, Ilara. She is the only one who remembered I have a heart, not just a portfolio.